All right. Cool. I got my notes. And I got water.
Very nice. I have squash.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now I wish I had something more tasty to drink. Anyway, I don't. That's where I'll start it, where we're talking about our drinks, because why not? Because otherwise it would just be me going, "Hi, my name is."
What? Cranked and ranked. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Cranked and Ranked. Why did I say it that way? That was weird. That's one of those things where my brain, for some reason, just makes a quick decision. And I don't know why my brain does that, but it does it sometimes. But yeah, we're a podcast or YouTube show, depending on how you're enjoying this. If you're hopefully you're just enjoying it, where we rank band discographies and other stuff, and have really long discussions about things. I have a feeling this one will probably be pretty long. And we're going to be ranking another hip hop artist today. But before we get into that, hello, I'm Old Head. With me as always, Eddie Sparxx.
That is me. Yes, I am him.
I really do. Like when I say your name, the Eddie part is like Eddie. And then when I say Sparxx, you can't hear it, but I imagine sparklies happening while I say it. So it's
like
Sparxx.
Welders and grinders and fireworks and shit going on.
Yeah.
That's badass.
But speaking of gentlemen who go by aliases, Eminem. We're doing Eminem today.
Yes.
Or Marshall Mathers. Or Slim Shady. Or M, as a lot of people call him these days.
Yeah.
Or the GOAT, which I don't necessarily, I wouldn't put him there. He's in the top. He's in the top for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know who the, in fact, GOAT would be in the hip hop world, in my opinion. Obviously, it's just an opinion.
I would have to imagine it would need to be a mixture of like legitimate technique, but also legacy. So
to be fair, it's probably Chuck D for me. Probably.
Yeah. I can see that being the case, because like he's been around for a long time and he's got a very commanding delivery.
Yes.
Yeah,
and we did Public Enemy. If you want to go listen or watch an episode on Public Enemy, it has to be over a year ago. And that's probably I think it's 2 years ago, because I think we started doing the video versions of them about 2 years ago.
I know we did NWA, and
that was the first one.
Yeah, that was. Funnily enough, we've actually done quite a few hip hop artists now.
Yeah.
Some as far on the other end of the spectrum as Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yep. And we've done Outkast. We did Public Enemy. We did Dr. Dre / Eazy-E / NWA.
Yeah.
We
dip our toe into the hip. I think that's it. We do dip our toe into the hip hop realm every 6 months or so.
Yeah. Because we're true to ourselves. We're not true. We're not trying to be a formula. So that's why you will see us do things like do a hip hop artist or the other offshoots that we seem to be doing more now than we were before. Just because we're being true to what we want to do. Because if it just becomes a fucking routine that feels like a job, then we're not having fun, and you're probably not having fun either.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna have fun today because
totally.
Eminem's an interesting artist for me. Normally we start off by talking about where they came into our lives. My story is exactly the same as many people who were alive at this point. I think you were not quite born yet, maybe, or around the time of being born.
I was born, but I was right out of the womb.
So my memory is I lived in my first apartment with a roommate, and what was it 1998?
It would have been 99 if you're talking My Name Is.
My Name Is. Okay, because
Yeah.
I just remember being sitting at home, in my apartment and watching MTV and them playing this new video from this guy named Eminem. And first off, I was like, what kind of a fucking name is that? And then from the get-go, the fact that the very first lines of the MTV version are, "Hi kids, do you like Primus?" And I was just like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, what is this?" I mean, yes, I like Primus. And so, but I have to admit, like, I did enjoy the video and song "My Name Is" the first time I heard it, but I immediately was like, this is going to be one of those one hit wonders, and this dude's going nowhere, because you couldn't
Wow.
really get how good of a rapper he was from that song.
Mm.
And when you first see somebody like that, you don't know, like, who's, did somebody write this shit for this white boy to rap? And it's like you don't know. It's brand spanking new. So I just went, well, that was fun. But to be fair, this was around the time that also one of the hit songs was when the Offspring decided to do that. Give it to me, baby.
Yeah.
So like music around that time, I was like, what the okay, this shit is all fucked. What the hell is going on here? So I wasn't on board right away. It wasn't until he released a couple more singles that I started to go, all right, this guy's pretty good. But then I didn't buy an Eminem album until the Marshall Mathers LP came out. And I was really into that. But funny enough, as quickly as I got into Eminem during that period of time, almost within another year, I was completely fucking sick of him, because he had essentially just become like an MTV character that just everything was, look at this crazy guy, he just says and does whatever, and he's on MTV again talking shit about whoever, and it got so exhausting that it overshadowed his actual music. So I dipped out for a long time, and when I would hear a song, I would go, nope, I don't like this. It literally wasn't until sitting in a different apartment 20 years later, or 20 years later, I don't know what year it was exactly. I have it written down somewhere, but I'm in the first apartment I lived in with my now wife, and Eminem drops a surprise album called Kamikaze.
Yeah.
And I listened to it all the way through, and I was so into it. And since then, I've now become more of a fan of Eminem again. So there's a really big gap in there that we get to cover with this episode. But for you, this is special for you, because I believe you told me that he was your first favorite artist way back in the day. Let's get into that.
Okay, so this is pre-Metal Eddie talking now. It must have been, I believe, early 2009. I happened to switch on a music channel. It just happened to be on because my mum always watched music videos and stuff whenever she was doing housework and things back in the day when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember she would almost always have it on this channel called Kiss, and it was like a hip-hop R&B focused thing. And like, I have this massive soft spot for like 90s and 2000s R&B alongside the hip-hop stuff. Because all that like melismatic female vocal stuff is just like takes me right back to being a kid, because it was always on. But the thing that always, like, I'd always heard about Eminem and how, like, even my mum liked him. My mum had the Eminem show.
Yeah.
And, oh, God, I remember one time I walked into the kitchen when I was a kid, and my mum really quickly turned the volume all the way down. And I was like, why'd you turn the volume off? She's like, I'll tell you when you're older. And eventually, you know, because I'm a kid in the 2000s, I eventually find out hearing about Eminem, and it was
Yeah.
about God. It was actually with the first single from Relapse that I actually heard an Eminem song, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is cool. I like this." And I latched onto it because it was like
So
it
that
was
would be
almost
so that was 2009. So you would have been 10. That would have been
yeah,
yeah,
10 coming up for 11. And I
yeah.
remember so many like I pretty much listened to Eminem every day from the moment We Made You came out.
Mhm.
Um and I loved that video. That video is hilarious. Um but I just remember having this 8 gigabyte iPod Nano for my birthday, for my 11th birthday. And I thought it was the most high tech, crazy thing ever. I was like, oh my God. You know, and here I sit now with, you know, AirPods that don't even
Yeah.
need a wire anymore and it's just hooked up to a phone. iPods aren't even a thing anymore. This is the first like obsolescent thing that makes me feel old now. Like
Yeah.
I'm 25 and to think back and be able to say, I mean that's as relevant as a Walkman at this point. Multiple.
Imagine. So you're talking about me, where there's multiple things that are obsolete. Because yes, the Walkman, the Discman,
Discman,
the
Discman. Yep.
because I was huge on the iPod. I got my
Mm,
first iPod. It might have been like 2004 or something like that. When they were, they were pretty thick at that point, and they had the little
yeah.
wheel thing that you would use,
Yep.
and the screen was just like black words. It was text.
Yeah.
Um, but I loved it. I was just like, I can have like hundreds of albums just like right here. And if I'm walking around and doing shit, it's not going to skip like the Discman would skip
Yeah.
or whatever. I was so, and that was my gateway into into being like, I love Apple
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
because I was just like, if you put together something like this, that's been my dream, then I'm on board. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think as well, like, you know, just while we're on the subject, um, I just remember I didn't just buy the single, I bought the music video and
Oh,
you know, obviously you could listen to it as an audio file as well.
yeah.
But to think now, you know, you have the internet at your fingertips. The idea of buying a music video is so strange. But
Yeah.
like I remember buying I think I bought the music video for We Made You, and I also bought the music video for Poker Face by Lady Gaga because I thought it was hot. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, that early green iPod era, Eddie, is a fond era that I like to think about sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I listened to Eminem every day in 2009. Yeah.
Nice.
And then eventually I got banned from listening to it after singing some lyrics at a family gathering.
Oh shit.
So like, what is it? I that's the first time in my life I've ever been like, fuck, roadblock. I got to find something else. It just so happened around that same time I went into the like cafeteria at school and they'd set up Guitar Hero for like the last week during like Christmas week.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Oh my God, this looks." I'd seen the ads for Guitar Hero. I was thought, "Oh, that looks fun," but like I'd never thought about getting it
Yeah.
because I didn't really know rock music all that well. And then all of a sudden, I see these people playing "Du Hast" by Rammstein, and I'm like, oh, "I want to do that." And I thought, "Oh, I like that." And then at Christmas, just after Christmas, I went out and got it. I know
Yeah.
I'm on a massive nostalgia trip right now, but like
That's fine.
it was too late to put on my Christmas list, so like I pulled together some money that I'd got from an aunt and any pocket money I had, and I just went out and got Guitar Hero 5, and eventually learned that I really liked this thing called heavy metal.
Yeah. And the rest
'Cause
is history.
yeah,
That's awesome. So yeah, but you even said like you had did you say you had an Eminem poster on your wall and everything?
I had an Eminem poster and an Eminem T-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, shit. Well, this is interesting. This will be an interesting thing just from our two perspectives. Not only like when you got into to him,
Yeah.
but also the gap in me listening to stuff that he did fully as albums.
Yeah.
Because
Because I know.
there's a few of these that I'm listening to all the way through for the first time for this show.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to digging into this.
Well, let's do it. Let's get into it. So we have 11 albums. We're just doing his 11 full-length albums,
Yep.
which funny enough, like when we were getting ready for this show, I did not know that he had an album before the Slim Shady LP.
Yeah.
Um and
And
uh and so I got to hear that for the first time too. So it's 11 total. So let's just fucking jump right into it. What is
yeah.
Eddie Sparxx? This is gonna be interesting because whenever we come at things from different angles, I always think, are we gonna match up somewhere? And if we do, that must mean that it's true because we're going at it from these two different angles. So let's start off. What is your number 11 Eminem album?
Okay. So after listening to all these albums, some of them for the first time, and others for the 67,953th time.
Did you say threeth?
Yeah. Man, I got so caught up in the moment, I forgot third was a word. I'm rhyming.
Third
Yeah.
the word.
Hell yeah. Right. Revival is my number 11th.
Oh, he's gonna be mad when he hears this.
And like, here's the thing. I very much appreciate what he was going for and agree with pretty much everything he says on this album. My thing is that it's. I'll just get into like the things I liked about it.
Okay.
I gotta hand it to him. It's ballsy to come out with a song like "Walk on Water" to open the album. Like I like that he's done kind of a left turn where it's like he opens with a softer song.
Where you totally don't even know it's an Eminem album because you're like, oh, it's Beyonce.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like he's only ever gotten better as a rapper. He's only ever gotten better as a lyricist and delivery, as far as I'm concerned. Like,
Yeah.
he's only ever improved on what he's done with his, like, abilities.
His flow, as they say.
His flow, there it is, his flow. But yeah, I like the presence of a lot of rock samples on this album as well. But for me, it's a little heavy on the pop hooks, and it's a little bit too long. As far as like
there's only one Eminem album that isn't too long. We'll get to
that. There's a ratio of pop to hip hop that has only ever like evened out over the years. Like like pretty much God, what is it? Infinite through Relapse is still pretty. It's all pretty hip hop driven. Whereas once you get to Recovery and onward, he's quite clearly in a new era. He's got past his drug problem and he wants to move forward, and I get that completely. But it's like the thing is, it's jarring for me to hear Ed Sheeran on an Eminem album. And it's
funny enough, like I have gripes about a lot of features, but I don't like Ed Sheeran, but I kind of dig that song.
yeah, and it's the thing of, personally, this sonically ain't the one for me.
Yeah.
However, I don't think anything Eminem has ever done is straight up trash at all. Like, I think.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
I know, hand on heart, that whenever he goes into something, whether or not he's being kind of like funny and silly, or if he's going in really serious, I do like a lot of the more politically driven stuff on this album, because he never. I mean, he has done it in the past, but never so like forwardly. It was always like undercut with like insulting celebrities or saying something goofy and funny as well.
Yeah.
On this one, he's just fucking going in, and Again, like I say, it is just the ratio of pop artists to Eminem rapping is just, for the length of the album, it's a bit much for me.
Yeah.
But by no means do I think it's bad. I found parts of it enjoyable, particularly the more rocking tracks, like the "Earache My Eye" sample on
Hmm.
Untouchable. Love that.
Yeah.
Um, and which one was it that I think it was "Remind Me" had "I Love Rock and Roll" sample in there?
Yeah, that's pretty lame, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's yeah. This for me is probably my least favorite. It's my least favorite Eminem album, but I appreciate what he set out to do with it, and
Yep.
by no means do I think it's bad.
Yeah, I agree. That's not my number 11. I don't know how you'll take this, but my number 11 is Relapse from 2009. Um,
Wrong. Okay, okay, go off, King.
so this is first off, I'll do the positives. I like the concept of it. I like it when he comes forward with an idea and fleshes it out, and that's what this album is about. Whether because Eminem's an interesting guy because he doesn't dumb things down,
No.
and so sometimes if you really listen to some things that he's saying, if you take things out of context, it sounds bad, but you actually have to listen to everything he's saying because he really does lay out his struggles, his inner struggles with himself, who he is, who he's perceived to be, who people want him to be, all of these different things. And he lays it out so much for everybody that it's easy to take little bits and go, fuck you. But at that point, you're not really a fan, I would say. So my problem with Relapse is that this is one where the concept feels honest, the execution does not. It sounds like 40-year-old Eminem trying to Slim Shady it, and it sounds silly. I don't really have a problem with all the different like accents and stuff because some people point that out and go, why does he do all these accents throughout the album? And at first I go, why the fuck is he doing that? But then I just go, all right, well, whatever. He's never really fucked around with stuff in certain ways. And he always, I guess it's a way to keep it fresh for him. I don't know, but it sounds like he's trying to get back to what people want, but he is not that person anymore. And so all I hear is this guy kind of going through the motions, trying his best to do this thing that maybe he doesn't 100% want to do, but he's doing his best with it. But the overall, it just feels like it's him because there was a gap between albums at this point where he had a lot of shit going on in his life, not only substance abuse but just other shit. And so this is him getting back on the horse, and it really sounds like that to me. A dude that's like like when we take 2 weeks off from doing a show, and I'm all like, "How do we do this again?" And we're able to do it, but there's that part of me that always goes, okay, next week we're going to be good. And I think Relapse is kind of that album. And also the fact that I know that he would end up doing better shit after this. I now listen to this album and I go, yeah, it's this feels like in the discography of Eminem, it is kind of a bummer, but it's possibly a necessary bummer to get to where he was going to go. Same thing with when I get to talking about Revival. There are things, because it's just one dude laying it all out there. It's so there's so much at stake for what he's doing But because of that, when he has some kind of misstep, whether it's critically or commercially or whatever, I feel like it's necessary because we're almost just hearing his life
Hmm.
unfold. And not every decision that we make is 100% successful, but what happens when we do that, we end up doing better after that. It just so happens that his mistakes or missteps are heard by millions of people. So but not that Relapse is a mistake. I just think that it's the most sort of like flawed and not quite fully realized, and it does feel a little bit, hey guys, remember me kind of thing in some of the lyrics. And it doesn't really connect with me. There's a weird disconnect where it doesn't feel very honest. And I think it annoys me because the album is presented as being honest, and there are lyrics in it that have very honest themes and everything, but just the
Yeah.
overall vibe, it does really feel like, hey, remember Slim Shady? And we're like, yeah, we're all older now, Em. But yeah, so that's my number 11, Relapse from 2009.
Cool. Yeah. Respect your opinion. Strongly disagree. but it's more of a it came out when I was
Oh,
coming
hell
on
yeah.
board.
I
So,
100% understand that.
but on the flip side, this is interesting now because its immediate follow-up, Recovery, which came out the following year, is my number 10.
Wow. I think Recovery is way better than Relapse, but okay.
See, yeah, see, but this for me, upon re-listening to it, I remember when I got Recovery, I
Hmm.
was getting more into metal and stuff. So
Yeah.
by that point, by the time I'd gotten into metal and I was allowed to listen to Eminem again, by the time this new Eminem album came out, I was kind of like, I mean, yeah, it's cool, but like there's an awful lot of like pop hooks on here, and I was not looking for that at the time. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It
upon
doesn't it
re-listening,
doesn't help when the main singles from an album are, in my opinion, are the weakest songs on the album.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but they were huge hits. So who the fuck am I?
Well, like my thing is as well is that if the choruses are other artists, I mean, you can argue that Aerosmith,
We're gonna get to those.
I, Dido, but I think Dido is an integral part of Stan.
The
I
Dido one doesn't bother me because he didn't just take the chorus and throw it in as the chorus of his song. He took a sample of a lyric from one of the verses and
Yeah.
made it the chorus of his song. That's, to me, if you're going to sample something, I want you to do something creative with it. That's all I
Mm,
want. So,
yeah. So with that, I'm gonna hop on to my number 10, which is Recovery.
Recovery.
Where
Okay.
are you? Yeah, it's tonally, it's very different to Relapse. It's the first album to feature a lot of poppy hooks and features from the pop kind of realm. It's released just a year after Relapse, and I've always kind of thought that Relapse and Recovery were kind of like a double album, but not. Where it's like Relapse is like, okay, he's kind of doing the Slim Shady thing, and then
Hmm.
Recovery, he's being honest, the same way that Slim Shady LP and Marshall Mathers LP
Yeah.
are kind of like tied to one another. But let me get oh god damn it, Recovery. There it
Yeah.
is. I was just getting the track list up. So you got Cold Wind Blows. As far as I'm concerned, that is a fucking banger. Kick the door down.
Hmm.
Um, Talking to Myself is cool. On Fire is cool. Won't Back Down. Here's a video game tie-in. Won't Back Down was the song from the first Black Ops Call of Duty, and you remember the. I don't know if you probably never played it, but it was. Do you remember when Nazi zombies was a big thing?
No.
Okay, so basically there was this like side mode of the game where like instead of, being a soldier and you've got this like storyline going on, this was a
Hmm.
completely different mode where the objective was to survive rounds and rounds of zombies coming at you with increasing difficulty and whatnot. Well, basically,
Okay.
this song, usually they would have a metal song that was originally written for the I think it was Eleanor Siegman or something would do them. They were pretty cool. I remember them from back in the day. But there was one like special version of Nazi Zombies where you played as like Cold War era world leaders, where you had Kennedy, you had Richard Nixon was there. So there was like four playable characters. I think it was like
Hmm.
McNamara and Fidel Castro also happened to be there, and you could
Hmm.
have like four player going on. Well, basically, there was this thing where if you found like four teddy bears in the map, you could activate the song, and Won't Back Down was the song from that
Interesting.
level. And I just remember being in a four player online mode one time, and we finally figured it out, and just like absolutely blowing these fucking zombies' heads off. Like, it is a good one to get you hyped up for that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Like, but Not Afraid, I remember being a massive hit. And,
Yeah.
people, I can see you shaking your
It's
head.
it's weak. It is weak, but whatever. I
I
like the
think,
album, but that's a weak track.
yeah, for me though, I kind of appreciate it though, like in its
Yeah.
own way, where it's like this guy is clearly sober, he's clearly back on track, and it's almost like a Saint Anger situation where it's like therapy lyrics, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
um, seduction, no love, uh, thoughts on no love, because that one heavily samples, um, baby, don't hurt me no more, but it's done in a
Um,
different way. What's your take on that one?
that didn't bug me at all.
Yeah,
There are some cases, and I'll get into them where he takes a song and the way that it's done, I'm just like, yeah, I can't fault him for this, because like I said, it really is like, just don't beat me over the head with the sample and then be lazy about it, which he has done a couple times, and but other times, just in court, I don't know. It's a good song. It didn't it didn't. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. There are others times where like the songwriting part of my brain comes in, and I just go, God, this is lazy. But that's not the case with a lot of these samples.
yeah. I think as well. The other one that springs to mind is "Love the Way You Lie" with Rihanna in terms of like suddenly shifting over to these more pop features
Yeah,
that it kind of signaled. Um, when I hear "Love the Way You Lie," it's kind of me hopping off the ride for a little while.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
th- that
So these are reasons why I wasn't a fan for a long time, because the songs that I was presented with from a person that didn't just go buy the album were like that song. And
yeah.
while for what it is, it's very well done. I've never been able to really make it through that song aside from when I was listening to the album this time, because it just feels too much like a song made for those women that do Facebook posts and are like, relationships are hard, but I'm gonna stick with him as long as I can. And I'm just like, no, you need to fucking get out.
Yeah.
But they listen to songs like this and they're all like, oh, I feel good now because I'm in this horrible relationship. And I'm just like, no, it's not the point. God damn
Yeah.
it. But it just comes across to me as formulaic, and
Yeah.
I am not a fan of that at all, especially from somebody like Eminem, who seems to occasionally like to subvert things. When he is going all in this formula, I kind of go, I'm not. You can do better, Em. but cha-ching, he made it was a
Yeah.
fucking hit.
See, that's the thing. On the other side, if I was like given two songs and I had to fill an album with one more song, if one's going to be a hit and one's going to be a deep cut, you bet your ass I'm going to pick the hit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but for me personally, I'd become a different music fan by the time Recovery came out. So I remember listening to Recovery a lot, but
Hmm.
like songs, I liked the more hip hop oriented songs than the poppy
Yeah.
ones. And I
Hmm.
found myself thinking, if this is what is going to be the case going forward, I'm going to need some time before I come back because I'm into rock now and I'm into
Yeah.
metal now, and it it's not
I'm
that
a
I didn't
rocker
like it.
now, Mom.
Yeah, yeah, it was literally like that. Pretty much. It was I woke up one day, came downstairs with like just as much rock stuff as I could like piece together for an outfit. She said, "You're a little overdressed." And I had like a bandana here, a bandana here, a bandana on my leg, and it was just like I've got so many bandanas on. Like,
That
it's
was
just
your
like
that was you coming out to your family. It was like, I
yeah.
just want everybody to know
Well,
I'm a rocker.
it was more of a case of like I came down the stairs. It was like, you a fucking gangbanger now or some shit? Yeah. But yeah,
No,
it's
I'm a 2000s kid that somehow is getting into 90s and 80s stuff at the same time, and this is what's happening to me.
yeah. I'm an amalgamation of every decade. But yeah, I just remember Recovery being like, for me at the time, it was a lot more serious in tone than
Hmm.
Relapse. And being a kid, I liked funny Eminem the most.
Yeah.
So, the more Slim Shady centric stuff appealed to me more as a kid because, it sat on my iPod next to Weird Al. So, go figure. But with that, I mean, Recovery, I think is a good album, but it's nowhere near my favorite
Yeah.
Eminem album personally.
Cool. Well, I think we're gonna be all over the place in this ranking. My number 10, going back to 2004 with Encore.
Okay.
Um, at this point, I had already jumped off of the Eminem train, mostly because he had just become a parody of himself,
Yeah.
which is weird because I saw 8 Mile in the theater and fucking loved it. I love 8 Mile. It's such a
Yeah.
fucking good movie. But for some reason, aside from like Lose Yourself, like
Yeah.
other
Which is my favorite Eminem song.
oh
I fucking
nice.
love that song so much.
Well, I guess what's good that it gets a mention because he didn't put it on an album. It's on what's on the
Yeah.
soundtrack, but that's not fully an Eminem album.
Hmm.
But so at this point, I had fully gotten into that point where I heard the singles and nothing really connected with me. And with Encore, it really like felt like the well was kind of running dry with him,
Yeah.
and a lot of the songs seem like lesser cousins of other shit he had already done. And then on top of that, he did something like Toy Soldiers, where he literally did the thing that I hated from the last album again, where he just plays the chorus of somebody else's song, and that's the chorus of his song, and it's so bad. So I couldn't get over that, and because there was nothing, and still is really not a lot for me to sink my teeth into here. I'm not a fan of the production. Once he started to kind of try to do it more on his own, the production wasn't as good because obviously, how do you fucking compete with Dre?
Dr. Dre. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not just him. 2004 hip hop production is real hit or miss. There's some
Yeah.
real awful sounding shit from that time. But for the most part, Encore to me, the reason like I don't like it is because if going through his discography at this point, it already feels like him xeroxing an image of himself over and over again to where now it's kind of a similar image, but it's really hard to see the Eminem that you liked in there because it's like, are you Eminem the MTV character, or are you Marshall doing music? Because at this point, I almost feel like it's. I felt like with Encore, he maybe should have taken a break there, and he did take a break. But I feel like this is when the break should have happened because I think I already said it. It really felt like he had kind of run out of steam, but still put out another album. And there's some good songs on it, but a whole lot of kind of shit on this one.
I think as well. Here's the thing. I think above all else, it's Eminem's funniest album. I think there's a lot more comedic stuff on it. So
Sure.
if you want a funny Eminem album, that's the one. And I know this one kind of divides opinion. I know that it's a more divisive album in his discography.
Yeah.
But I think above all else, I definitely can see how at that point he'd definitely gone down the route of it is kind of a parody of itself, but in a way I also kind of like that, and I remember laughing at a lot of the lyrics at the time. And like one of my I think my personal favorite part on the album is that second verse in Rain Man where he just goes completely off the rails. It's like, now in the Bible it says, thou shalt not watch two lesbians in bed have homosexual sex unless, of course, you were given the consent to join in. Then, of course, it's intercourse and it's bisexual sex, which isn't as bad long as you show some remorse for your actions either before, during, or after performing the act of that which is normally referred to as such more commonly known phrases that are more used by today's kids in a more derogatory way. But who's to say what's fair to say and what's not to say? Let's ask Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre, what up? I got a question, if I may. Yeah. Is it gay to play putt-putt golf with a friend and watch his butt when he tees off? Yep, butt up, I ain't done yet. In football, the quarterback yells at hut hut while he reaches in another grown man's ass, grabs on his nut, but just what if it wasn't never meant and it was just an accident? But he tripped, fell, slipped, and his little penis went in his teeny tiny little round hiney, and he didn't mean it, but his little weenie flinched just a little bit. And I don't need to go into any more details, but what if he pictured it as a female's butt? Is that gay? I just need to clear things up. Till then, I'll just walk around with a manly strut because I ain't got no legs. Oh, no brain. Sorry.
I mean,
my chest.
I was wondering how long you were going to go through that. That was impressive.
Yeah, I feel like I got most of the cadences right.
To answer your question, I do enjoy moments like that.
Yeah. It's the putt golf with a friend.
Yeah.
Watch his butt when he tees off.
Yeah. But you said it earlier, like he's never been bad at what he does. And even the albums that to me are overall his albums not very great, and I really wouldn't go back to them. There are plenty of moments where either I laugh or like I kind of nod because like he does some clever wordplay that I'm like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah,
but
that verse was a pullover because I was laughing too hard situation. You ever have one of those where you're like listening to something and it just makes you crack up too hard, where you're like dangerously unaware of what's going on? Yeah. I
mean, not in my car, but I mean that has happened. But
it was like kind of scary, but also couldn't like stop laughing, so I had to like stop at the nearest the next point I could because I was just laughing too hard. But yeah, like.
But I mean, that being said, like, you know, I just think that overall Encore, it doesn't have enough of those moments that I really love. And to be fair, I think I probably enjoyed you doing that part more than him. But yeah, I mean, it's once again, it's weird because we are like talking about somebody that if you just took a random song a random deep cut off of any of these albums and just it randomly played, like, and I wasn't listening to Eminem currently and it just came on, I would be vibing to that song probably, and then I would move on with my life. But the fact that he puts out these albums that are an hour and a half long, and those moments are few and far between, it's very daunting trying to get through to the moments where you're like, oh yeah, Eminem. Anyway, so that's why my number 10 is Encore.
Cool. So with that brings me to my number 9.
Mm-hmm.
And my number 9 is one of the ones behind it. It's Music to Be Murdered By.
These are the only two Eminem albums I have on vinyl, if that says anything. I would like to eventually have his first couple as well. Well, not obviously not Infinite. I don't think it's on vinyl. But his first couple well-known albums. But those it's weird with those kind of repressings. I'm just like, is this any good? Is this a good quality repressing? So at least with these are both first pressings when they came out.
Cool.
So I was able to at least snag those. Anyway,
I need to get some Eminem vinyl. I've just realized I don't have any. That'll definitely be an investment. I need to get more hip hop vinyl. But yeah, number 9, Music to Be Murdered By.
Yep.
Heard it for the first time just this weekend, and honestly, I think it has some of his most insanely like good rapping on it. Like
Godzilla.
Dude, yeah. Like I heard that. Yeah, I heard that and I thought, Jesus Christ, is this even harder and faster than Rap God?
Yeah, and it's longer. That section of the song is longer than the one in Rap God. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's like my main note that blew me away. I was like, this has some moments in it that are on par with Rap God, if not superior. And
that whole song, there's so many moments that on that album, which is why I'm surprised that it's this low for you. But there are a lot of moments on that album where I am so impressed that this dude that's been doing this for this long still manages to do these verses where, sure, in that particular case, he's rapping fast. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's it's fun, but just within that, his wordplay and everything.
Yeah.
I'm so like the guy he's legit to me one of those examples of, they say that if you do something for like 1,000 hours or whatever, that you become an expert. 10,000 hours. I think he's been scribbling down in notebooks for 40,000 hours or whatever, in his life. And now it's just this thing where he just constantly has these different ideas. And I mean, I don't know. I would love to just be in his head when he comes up with some of this stuff, because I'm just like, I can barely write the shitty lyrics that I write that are not clever or cool at all. I'm
Eddie Sparxx, and I'm here to say safe sex is cool. Hip hooray! Like that sort of shit.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the best I can fucking come up with on the fly.
It wouldn't be good. I mean, to give you an example, I saw an interview with Rick Rubin, and he was talking about working with Eminem and Eminem's scribbles in notebooks, and he's like, "Are those lyrics for the album?" He's like, "Oh no, I'll never use any of these. I'm just constantly writing lyrics in notebooks." So I'm assuming if he keeps his shit, there's probably thousands of notebooks of lyrics that he never put in songs because he's just constantly writing. And I guess that's his way of working it out, because he probably leaves a lot of shit that maybe we would look at and go, that wasn't that great. And he just kind of discards it. And when he hits that fully, eureka, or whatever, then that goes into a song. But that just says something about a guy that this is his life. Like, it's an example of somebody who made it, who was talented, and this is in his blood. And it's very impressive to me. Anyway, on to the album.
Yeah, honestly, I heard everything on this album to me is extremely impressive. It's still in that kind of world of having quite a lot of poppy features, but there is a heightened presence of more hip hop focus. And
Who? You know what? But aside from Ed Sheeran, what other pop artist is on that album?
come to
Because
think of it,
I know you got Juice World and other hip hop artists that like were maybe are in the pop world, but I just thinking about it right now, I'm just like Ed Sheeran's the only one that really pops out. Like, oh, that was why did he put him on here?
well, it worked last time.
But I end up liking the song.
Yeah, honestly, like for me, my 8 and 9 are virtually interchangeable. Like music to be murdered
Please
by.
don't tell me your number 8 is Kamikaze. I'm gonna riot. I'm gonna fucking riot.
He's gonna fucking riot.
All right, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about music to be murdered by.
Okay. I think because I'm going to be honest here. I think my ranking is half informed by how these newer albums spoke to me after my initial Eminem, fan explosion back in the day.
Yeah,
I feel like everything, not to give too much away, but like everything that was out when I got into Eminem was the stuff that I just binged through. And I remember like in the early days of streaming services, I remember my friend showed me this thing called Groove Shark, and it was this like online Spotify predecessor. I don't know, I can't remember, but it wasn't the most legal setup. But I remember just listening to all the Eminem stuff back then.
yeah,
And like it's just so ingrained and part of my childhood that it's like even the lower ranking albums of that era I'm still going to have pretty high up.
sure,
But that's why I prefaced it by even saying my bottom album, Revival, is still a good record and a good offering. Maybe a bit long, but music to be murdered by, I think, is a step up from Revival and Recovery in terms of I really like that there's a bit more hip hop to pop ratio going on again. I prefer when, simply put, I prefer it when he does the choruses or he has some other rapper come in and do. I got nothing against the odd like pop hook here or there, but it's just I'm such a fan of that first run that this new era, there's parts of it I like and parts of it I could do without.
yeah.
But yeah, like I say, I'm coming at it from someone who was mega into Eminem and then got sideswiped by a whole other world of music. So
Yeah.
I have a very unique perspective on this.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, with that, music to be murdered by is my number 9. You know what my number 8 is, so I'm just gonna hand it over to you.
I'll have more to say about that album when I get to it.
Okay.
But my number 9 is Revival from 2017.
Cool.
This was the last of the albums where I heard this, whatever the single was at the time, which I don't remember which song that was. And then I heard the very first track and I was just like, this is not what I want. So I didn't get into it. And to me, it starts off very weak. Not in the respect of the song is badly done. It's just that it starts off and it's like, hey, here's Beyonce. And then and that's a track that for me is good, but it's a weird opener. But it would be a better opener if it went into a really energetic second track, but it doesn't. It's a very minimal and sluggish second track.
Yeah.
And the album just doesn't take off. Like it does this, it's weird. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say, because people were really mean about this album, and I don't think it's that bad. But I agree with you. All of the pop features on this, I feel like it comes across like he has these weapons in his arsenal. One big weapon in his arsenal is obviously his wordplay, his lyrics, his flow, if you will, whatever. But another really big weapon in his arsenal, if he wants to, make a bang and be successful, is collaborating with popular pop artists. And
Yeah.
I feel like this is really heavy in that, yeah, let's just do a bunch of collabs with these famous pop stars and then everyone's just going to love it, right? Because everybody's loved when I did it in the past. And this was an occasion where everyone went, no, we're kind of over it. And I'm like, yeah, I was already over it before this.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of an underwhelming album. Lyrically speaking, here and there are stuff that I really enjoy because, like, I really do like. If you have an opinion on something, political, social, what have you, just fucking say it. Because especially when you're somebody like Eminem, that has been your whole career. You're saying your heart's on your sleeve. Your life is here in your lyrics for us to pick at. And he's not always necessarily laying it out very directly, but it's all there. But in Revival, because there are a lot of, especially these days, there are a lot of artists that put out these songs and they're intended to be like fist in the air, but the lyrics are all like, I'm not gonna take it. What? Just in general things.
I feel really strongly about whichever way you lean.
Yes, I just want you to buy my album. I don't want to split things in half, but I'm really upset about some particular thing. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
I think that one of the most ironic things I've ever heard about was like a bunch of right wing, like far right rallies blasting the "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me" section of Rage
Yeah.
Against the Machine's Killing in the Name, not understanding that their entire first album is just this absolute scathing assault on anything right wing. And
Yeah.
it's just like I just find it incredibly ironic when
Yeah. Yeah. I
people
mean,
miss
you
the
could say
forest for the trees
maybe they
that
were
hard.
using it. Maybe they were using it in a really, like I said earlier, subverting it, and they're literally just throwing it back in the faces. Like, oh yeah, remember, don't won't do what you tell me. Because because you have to remember, on either side, everybody thinks the other side is dumb.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's just, I just think it's hilarious when like the artist who made something that they're using would denounce what they're using it
Oh
for.
yeah, but nobody
Like,
nobody fucking
yeah.
cares. There's
Nah.
still I think some Trump relative covered "I Won't Back Down" by Tom Petty, and I'm just like, maybe research the fucking artist and music a little bit. But whatever. You could. I mean, it's music. You take it and you make whatever you want to out of it. It's like it is what it is. But that being said, Revival. I like that. If you have something to say, just fucking say it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And if I don't like it, I'm going to move on. But please don't fucking baby me with this. We need to come together. Nah, we're way past that. We're way past that shit. Anyway, that's just me. I'm a little bit jaded, but yeah, I think that he tried too hard to go for a bunch of crossover hits. Where he could, get pop radio and stuff like that to play some stuff. And unfortunately, even with a few standout tracks, I think all of us were just there going, dude, can you just make a fucking hip hop album? And then he did. But number 9,
Yeah.
my number 9 is Revival. Nowhere near as bad as people say, but it's tough to get through because it's long and there's a lot of rappy verse, singy chorus kind of things.
Yeah. It's
right.
a little predictable after a while. But yeah, my
Number
number
8.
8. My number 8 is Kamikaze.
Come on, Gazi. Yeah.
And it's above the aforementioned albums for the same reason you mentioned it. It is hip hop album, just boom. Yeah. And I like that it's kind of as well like this is the one, isn't it, where he's like, there's like the odd skit here or there that says, "You really replying to everybody who didn't like the last one?" And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, fucking go off. I mean, I think the beauty part of this as well is that A, it was a surprise, B, it's only 46 minutes long, and it gets
Yep.
in, does what it needs to do, and gets back out.
Yes.
Um, and it's this is where we start to enter the realms of what I consider okay. Yeah, I can see myself digging into this more. Well, we already had that really with Music to Be Murdered By, as far as I'm concerned, but this one in particular, I totally understand why you like it so much, because it
Yeah.
completely subverts pretty much everything that didn't work about the previous album, but he's still turning around and saying, I still stand by that.
Yeah.
But here's a reminder, I can hip hop with the best of them.
Yeah.
I am the best of them.
And it's funny that people got on his case for like whining and complaining. And I'm just like, you guys were perfectly okay with it when he was just complaining about how he didn't like Britney Spears or something. But now it's like, no, we don't want that from Eminem. And I'm like, this is literally the most honest album he could have made at that moment. And I fucking love him for that.
Yeah.
And it's very well done. So there you go.
Again, like I say, even if it's not my favorite, I've long respected Eminem for, always being true to who he is, really.
Yeah.
Granted, there's some albums where he'd say he wasn't, but like, I still love those on account of, being a 2000s kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm saying,
that's the struggle of being a solo artist, because it's like, who else do you have to come to you?
well, it's all you, isn't it?
It's just you.
Yeah, and even then, it's not like it is in the rock world, where you like put together a band around yourself and call it a solo project. You're still in a band, whereas with someone like Eminem, you're one dude, and you're just putting it out there.
He may work with producers or other rappers, but at the end of the day, it's his show. It's the Eminem show.
It's the Eminem show. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think it's a really good, consistent hip hop album of the 2018 era. And he, there's parts where he comes out and says, hey, look, some of this stuff ain't my cup of tea, but, let's fucking put that aside and let's just put out a hip hop album. Let's fucking kick some ass. And yeah, I need to blow my nose real quick. You stole him.
all right. Well, I'm gonna. I don't know because some people get a little weird about nose blowing sounds. So hopefully my voice is covering it up, because I don't want to. Are we done?
You remember that viral video of that kid, that like baby in the stroller, that's like deathly terrified of when its mum blows her nose? Oh, no. It's so funny. Right, there's this kid in this like baby walker, right? And I just remember it fucking, it used to crack me up. It's this kid who's like and then they would like make the baby laugh and like oh fuck.
That is a dramatic baby right there.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah. I'll have to send it to you or something. That is a blast from the past. I remember watching that so much. But yeah. Over to you.
Yeah, okay.
Number 8.
My number 8. It's speaking of the Eminem show. That's my number 8. 2002, the Eminem show.
Wow.
So the Eminem show suffers from 2 big things for me. Number one, he tried to take over a lot of the production, so it doesn't sound as good as his 2 previous albums. And by 2002, he had become an MTV character more than an artist. And it just became too much of, I don't know what it is. His shtick got old, and it overshadowed his talent. And I don't like the early 2000s brick walled kind of sound with this album. I don't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't like the distortion in the bass and all that stuff. It's just, but everybody was fucking doing that. in every album he's done, I feel like in certain ways he does grow as an artist, but he also remains stagnant in others. And in this case, a good majority of it, I think, was just being stagnant. There's a lot of filler, I think, on this album, a lot of uninspired tracks. Like with many of his albums, it's too long and there's too many fucking skits. Like we don't need all the fucking skits because that's the only thing with Eminem is that Eminem's a funny dude, but most of the time the skits I'm just like, just get to the fucking rapping. You're funnier when you're rapping. So it's a lot of wasted time. It's a very bloated album that just feels just full of rehash and filler, and it has the absolute atrocity that is Sing for the Moment because and I remember hearing this song in 2002 and complaining. I was probably a little drunk too when I first heard it. I remember complaining to everybody in the room. And I was like, this motherfucker's getting paid millions of dollars to just pay Aerosmith to play their song. And he raps during the verses, but then the chorus is just the chorus of Dream On with him going, yeah, over it.
Sing!
I'm like, this is the lamest shit. And of course in my brain I go, why is everybody eating this up like it's good? It's not. It's not good at all. It's literally just like, hey, I want to do another Stan, but I'm just going to be real lazy about it. And it's not, obviously it's not lyrically like Stan, but whatever. I'm just like, it's really bad. I can't get over how bad it is. And I love Dream On as a song, but later on we're going to talk about another sample where he did use the chorus, but I love how he did it. This particular case, lazy, lame, and everybody that loves the song is lame. I'm going to go ahead and say that. You're part of the problem. You all drove Eminem to making other shitty shit because you were okay with Sing for the Moment. That being said, on the Eminem show, there are some great moments, just not very many, and therefore it's my number 8. There you go.
Those moments aren't Sing for the Moment.
No, that is not one of those moments.
Do you know what? I think this is the first time I've ever done this, but I'm keeping track of your ranking because like ours is so different this time. I need to see it written down. So I've got like a little extra thing in my notes right now that says old head. I'm keeping track of everything you do. I need to see how different this is by the end. Okay. So, where am I at? Where are we at? Number 7, yeah?
7.
Cool. So, my number 7 is Marshall Mathers LP2.
Okay. All right.
And honestly, I remember when the big songs from it came out. But that was still in I think I was like deep into my grunge exploration by that point, because that's 2013. Yeah, so I would have been like really getting into that early 90s alternative metal grunge stuff alongside the thrash that, the Black Album era thrash stuff. And let me just get down to the fucking notes here. Where the hell is that? I keep losing this shit. I'm going off the rails today. Yeah, so what were the singles from this? It's Berserk. I remember loving Berserk.
Mm-hmm.
With the Billy Squire samples and that. Survival, Rap God, I remember that coming out. And even though I wasn't big into hip hop at the time at all, like I found Rap God legitimately impressive. I checked out and I was like, okay, even though I'm far removed from this right now, I can't deny how impressive this is.
Do you want to know one of the things that I love about Rap God? Obviously, lyrically and vocally, it's great, but he did a really smart thing with that song where the actual beat and everything underneath the rapping is so, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It doesn't, you almost don't even notice that there's a beat playing under the song. It's real minimal. It's almost like just enough for him to work on top of, but not get in the way of what he's doing. And I'm just like, that's genius, because if there's ever a song that would need something like that, it's literally just highlighting the vocals, and then there's something underneath in case you were listening, but it's not that's not what's important about the song, and I just think that's great.
Yeah. Oh, and another Call of Duty tie-in I can mention here is Survival, which was solely to promote the multiplayer trailer for the controversial Call of Duty Ghosts, which I remember being like the first time in that series where I'd seen, oh, maybe this one's going to be in terms of like reception,
Is it
Call of
well,
Duty.
why was it controversial?
It was the first time where they really did something different with Ghosts, and it wasn't received well.
Gotcha.
That. So basically, like the first three games were like World War II shooters, and then after that they split off. Two companies, one focused on the Modern Warfare series, and one focused on like the World at War Black Ops kind of thing. And then eventually, when both trilogies had wrapped up, they did Ghosts, and then that's kind of like it's kind of like the mid 90s glam metal band game. You know how we've like kind of
Okay.
mentioned before, where it's the first game I remember where it was like, yeah, this series is on top of the world, but reception wise, people are starting to get a little bit like, we get a new one of these every year, getting kind of burnt out on it. Anyway, I know this episode's about Eminem, but I just thought that was a fun comparison.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember all of the singles from this coming out. And here's the thing. I remember The Monster being a massive track, and it's quite literally just, hey, it worked before. Let's do another Eminem Rihanna feature.
To me, a way stronger song though than
Love the Way You Lie.
Love the Way You Lie. Yeah.
I'd rather hear Monster than Love the Way You Lie. But yeah, let's have a look here. Let's ask Dr. Dre. Where the fuck? I have laid out my notes in a really shitty way this time. Here we go. Yeah, I like it more than Recovery, and I think it's a step up bangers wise. Plus, I like the revisit to that Marshall Mathers LP. It's a big nod, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's framed as a direct sequel to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I just remember really, really liking it when I listen back to it. Granted, it's still got a lot of those pop hooks on it, but it's still balanced out with a lot of the, darker hip hop elements as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, I found it enjoyable. Of the latter day Eminem stuff, I found it to be the one that I had the most fun listening to.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just really liked it.
We're
in the like zone.
I liked it more than you. That's not my number 7.
Okay.
My number 7. I'm surprised that this is higher for you because you haven't talked about it yet. But it makes me happy though. My number 7 is Infinite, his first album from 1996, which I had never heard prior to doing this show. I didn't even know that.
I'd heard the title track and that was it.
Okay,
that's all I heard.
I didn't know about it, and I don't know how I didn't know about it, but whatever. So it's not quite. He doesn't quite sound like the Eminem that we would know and love or whatever. It's a little laid back and understated for Eminem, but I love the 90s alternative hip hop sound.
Yep. Bang.
A la like, Far Side, Souls of Mischief. I think in this point he was inspired by Nas, but Nas I wouldn't really put in the same. I like what Nas did, but for some reason this album feels more like an alternative hip hop album with the way the beats and the production sound. And I love it. It was so much fun to listen to, but at the same time, as I'm listening to it, I go, well, I get why this didn't stand out at the time, because there were a bunch of other artists, some already well established, who were doing this. And I think that even with Eminem as the vocalist, it didn't stand out enough, and I think it's because he didn't. I don't think he was leaning that much into like himself. I think he was probably being more technical with what he was writing and not so much emotional, which makes sense. But it's very enjoyable. I think it's a true hidden '90s gem. The fact that I had never heard it before this. And really, like, aside from that, the only gripe I have is, it's a little samey. So some of the songs kind of blend together a little bit when you're listening to it. But I mean, I I like it. The sound of it's great. It's a very enjoyable listen, and it's really cool to hear his beginnings, because for many, many years the beginnings for me was, my name is. That was it. That was the beginning.
Yeah.
And I knew prior to that he'd done demos, and he had done, he had cut his teeth doing, rap battles and shit a la 8 Mile kind of thing. But I didn't know he had a whole ass album. And I'm glad I do, because I enjoy it. And it's, it didn't even make it to my top 6, but, I think the other ones are higher up, even if I have gripes about them, because they feel more legit Eminem albums. And yeah, Infinite's great. So it's my number 7.
Cool. I'm going to jump straight off of that because my number 6 is Infinite.
Nice.
And again, like you say, it's not necessarily the Eminem we'd come to know and love, but it's a really cool pre-fame time capsule of this dude who was destined to just fucking take over the game.
Yeah.
But he's not in that world yet. He's not MTV's go-to darling controversy guy.
I almost feel like he had, like his confidence level was kind of like halfway.
Yeah.
And then once Dr. Dre says, "Hey, you got it, kid, come work with me," then boom, that was the boost that he needed to fully become Eminem,
Absolutely. This is Eminem still working a minimum wage job on the side, quite literally, as far
working
as I know.
working at the factory and fucking Brittany Murphy. Rest in peace.
Yeah. It's a great like time capsule. That's why it kind of lands itself like dead in the middle of my list here, because I know that he'd go on to do better, but for me, like, I just love that 90s hip hop sound, and this has it in spades. So with that, really, I could go into tracks, but like Infinite's a cool opener, and the rest is just really cool 90s hip hop songs.
Yeah.
With that, I'm just gonna hand it back over to you, because we've covered that one.
All right. My number 6 is Recovery from 2010. His 7th album, and
one of the first CDs I ever bought.
Nice. It's an improvement over Relapse, which I didn't like very much. The production is better. That first off, sonically, it just sounds like a better album to me.
Which is funny, because Relapse is mostly Dre, isn't it?
I don't know who's responsible for Relapse, but I was not a fan of the production on that.
I'm gonna have a quick look.
I think Dre might be tracks on it. I don't know if it was a full on Dre production though.
It's a Dre production, dude.
Wow.
Right the way through.
Yikes.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, but it's nitpicking, really, trying to figure out where these albums go. But yeah, I did enjoy the sound of this one better. I also feel like it has a better energy, and he feels like a reinvigorated Eminem. And like I said, I feel like Relapse was more of him getting back on the horse, and then Recovery is like, all right, now I've done it. Now we're back in, and I know what I'm doing now. And it finally feels like a more mature Eminem. It doesn't sound like a 40-year-old guy still trying to do Slim Shady. And that's why I enjoy, like, when he came out with Kamikaze, which I'll get to. Sure, he's being real bratty and and aggressive, but it doesn't sound like I'm cutesy Slim Shady when he's doing it.
Yeah.
And Recovery just feels like an honest Eminem album. And I think one of the big reasons why this one stood out to me and it made it a little bit higher is that there are songs where in this point in his discography, I would hear the way a beat would be used and he would rap over certain things. And I would go, I feel like that's new for him. I feel like he's still kind of coming up with ideas where he goes, well, normally I would do this, or normally I would pick this part of a sample, or normally I would do a beat this way. But I feel like in certain respects, he decides to do something different. But at the same time, there's stuff where he just does same old. Because he knows how to do that. So I think the fact that it does give me a little bit of that made it more enjoyable to me, because it's not all great here. I would say it's a good album overall. Once again, way too long. And that's the thing, is that if we went to Eminem and said, hey, take all of your albums and make them all 45 minutes, would he end up cutting out shit that I like and end up keeping all the songs with Rihanna and Beyonce and all that shit? Because if I made a 45-minute version of Recovery, a lot of the poppy shit would just be lost, because I think that that's the weaker stuff that he does. But once again, that connects with a broader audience, and I would never fault anybody for that. But if you come to me and say, which do you prefer? I want Eminem to be more exciting, and I want the show to be more about him, and I just want it to be him pushing his limits, whenever he does shit. But yeah, the weakest part of Recovery are the singles, in my opinion. And maybe the reason why I ended up really enjoying this was because prior to that, I only really knew the singles, but then jumping into the album, I was pleasantly surprised with how good the other stuff was. So,
there's one song on there where I can't remember which one it is, but like the volume goes like all the way down, and then he's like, "Turn me back up!"
Yeah,
and he goes back. Yeah, I love that.
So, but Recovery also has an example of him using the chorus of a song, and I actually think it's effective. And that is Going Through Changes.
I was about to say it's got to be
because the way that he did it, where everything kind of drops out when it does the I'm going through changes part, it's really effective, to the point where I'm like, I'm not mad at this at all. I love how he did this, because he took something that it's somebody else's chorus of a fucking song, but it's almost like he incorporated and utilized it in a way where it almost made me feel different about the Black Sabbath song, because it really did sort of like, because I always thought I'm Going Through Changes or Changes by Black Sabbath it's a beautiful song, but the way the song goes, there's a little bit of a melancholy, but looking onto the bright side of things. And the way that the sample is used in an Eminem song, it sounds depressing. I don't know what it is about it, but every time it gets to that where you hear Ozzy sing I'm Going Through Changes, I'm just like, oh man, that is the best word I can use is effective. It's of getting an emotion across. And so, but at the end of the day, if you came to me and said, do you think he should be just using a chorus as the chorus of his song? I'd be like, fuck no, that's lazy. But at least he did it in a way where it was enjoyable to me in some kind of way, and brought something new with this. And so, anyway,
he adds that ad libs, that little bit in there. It's like, don't know what I'm going through, but all I know is do changes.
So it's more than just yelling or sing or whatever over it. But yeah, I think Recovery is. I feel like it's the beginning of the next stage of of Eminem, but unfortunately, he still had a rocky time with other albums. Well, not really. I guess really just one after that point, because Recovery is followed by Marshall Mathers 2 or whatever, or something like that. I don't remember. We'll get to that. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Number 5, top 5, Eminem.
Okay, now we're in my love zone. We are in everything here for me just brings
If you
back
ever wanted to
memories.
know what it's like in Eddie's love zone, you're there right now.
I ain't never seen an ass like that. It's Encore.
Encore, okay.
Yeah. My number 5 is the divisive, yet at least from a comedic standpoint, thoroughly enjoyable Encore for me. And I'm just gonna hop right to it. Where's my? I have notes on this.
You want to know something that I've always have liked about this album?
What's that?
It's on the cover. I've always loved how Encore has the forwards and backwards E's. I've always looked at that and I went, "That's cool. That's way to take that." Like, it's almost like, you know, when he came up with that title, it was like, "Oh, and the fucking E will be backwards in this part." It's like, yeah, great job, Eminem, on that. Other than that, let's get into it.
Okay, cool. Right. Shit, just close the fucking tab. I am not on it with my notes today. Okay.
That's all right.
Right. Like I said, I will say that this outright is the funniest Eminem album. So if you like his sense of humor, and a lot, there's plenty of it here.
Yeah.
And this is one I actually ended up doing a track by track for.
Okay.
I will say, Evil Deeds sets up the awkward kind of stylings of many points of this album, because there's several choruses on here where you'd think that's kind of herky-jerky weird, but I guess it's intentional. Yeah, Lord, please forgive me, for I know not what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I just never had a chance to ever meet you. And it's like, okay, that's strange, but I also kind of like it in that schizophrenic, strange placing. Never Enough has some 50 Cent and Nate Dogg going on. Always a pair I like to see come up on a track.
Rest in peace,
Yellow
Nate
Brick
Dogg.
Road. Yep, rest in peace. The east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Seen a call full of girls, they don't need to tweak. All you skirts know what's up with 213.
They're taking Warren's wealth.
If you know like I know, you don't want to step to this.
Yeah.
It's the G-Funk era, funked out with the gangster twist. If you smoke like I smoked, and you high like every day. And if your ass is a buster, 213 will regulate.
I fucking love that song. It's so good. Some Warren G love on this episode.
Stay tuned for our Warren G ranking. I mean, he doesn't have that many albums. I don't think.
We could piece together something like we did with NWA. We did Dre and E as well.
We'll do Warren G / Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yellow Brick Road, cool track. Now, Toy Soldiers. I remember listening to this on my green 8-gig iPod Nano in the back of my mum's truck, and
that's the only way that song would sound good. You got to be listening to it on that in the back of your mom's truck. That's it.
Yeah, I have fond memories of it, but it was never my favorite. But I do remember having it. Mosh, love that song. Puke, I like this song. I don't care what anyone says. It's also a synonym for Sick, which is a song by my band Sage that you can stream on all platforms if you like grungy 90s tinged alternative metal. That's my shameless plug for this episode. Sick by Sage. Love you. My first single. I like this one a lot, you know. Yeah. This was supposed to be my first single, but I just fucked that up. So this was supposed to be my catchy little jingle that you heard on your radio. Yeah, I like the goofy edge to this album. Like, I can't deny it. Mm-hmm. Rain Man, I've already gone through that entire second verse. Had Big Weenie, love it shamelessly, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been adopted by TikTok yet because like it's so applicable. It's like you're just really jealous of me because I'm what you want to be, but instead of just admitting it, you always go around and say all these really mean things just because you're a weenie, a big meanie. Yeah, I love it. Just lose it. Loved this as a kid. This was like one of my favorites to put on. Great, goofy fun. I finally got to do that on an episode. Ass like that. Same goes here. I mean, yeah, spend some time. Cool. Now, ironically, one of his most heartfelt songs ever is Mockingbird, and it's on here.
Uh-huh.
Amongst all this goofiness, this song just comes out of nowhere, and it's just this really heartfelt ode to his daughter, and it's even has my favorite chord progression on it in it. You know, that ding, 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 ding. That Iron Maiden chord progression, I always call it, because Iron Maiden have it in every song. But yeah, Crazy in Love, a heart sample.
Yeah, I think we're figuring out the key to your heart there, literally.
Yeah. Yeah, my Ann Wilson crush is not a secret. Hit me up. One shot, two shot. Everybody getting shot kind of closer. Honestly, I get the critiques of this album, and I understand Eminem's own critiques of this album. However, I've had many a good time and chuckle to several of the songs on this album.
Yeah.
And I can't deny how much I love it. It's burned into my brain.
All right.
Yeah.
I just heard like a random noise in my room, and I'm like, I'm the only one in here.
Maybe another dog showed up.
I mean, it'd have to be a really little one.
You keep collecting dogs, and I'm jealous. You seem to flock to you.
We can't fit anymore.
I'll take one.
Let's move in. Let's move into my number 5, which is the Marshall Mathers LP2 from 2013.
Very important. There's a 2 on there.
Yeah, the LP2. This is really the last one. Well, I guess I have gripes about all of them, but this is the only one that has something that not something, but the thing that bothers me about this album is that it feels uneven to me, but that's because I feel like some of the material is so strong that when you get to the stuff that's kind of you go, oh man, we were doing so well here, Em. And then so it could have been an amazing album. This is one that literally, if you just let me edit it down to like 45 minutes, it's an absolute fucking banger from beginning to end. But at this point, the rap / feature sung chorus song thing had just been run into the ground by him. Yeah. And so when those show up, even if I do like, Monster more than Love the Way You Lie, it's still a point in the album where I go, this should have just been like back in the day, 50s and 60s, some bands would put out songs that were just singles, and then they would put out an album. Put out Monster as a single. Fuck yeah. Leave it off of Marshall Mathers too. But I just think that Eminem sounds so good on this album, and obviously Rap God's on this album. And it's so well done overall. Like everything, and maybe he did have a little bit. Maybe it was really smart that he decided it was going to be Marshall Mathers LP2, because if you have that kind of expectation behind you, because everybody fucking loves Marshall Mathers LP, maybe it really did give him a push that he needed. But at the same time, I think he was still struggling with this whole thing of like, there's the people that love me in the hip hop community because of me as a hip hop artist and a rapper. Then there are the people out there that love my crossover shit that become big hits. And I just
Mm.
think that I would really love to know, like, does he truly enjoy that aspect of it? Because sometimes as a listener it takes away from the albums. And but I think lyrically speaking and overall it's really good. Um
Hmm.
he would do better, in my opinion, but he had to fucking bottom out. He had to hit what, well, Eminem's Rock Bottom is still a fucking million selling album. So he would have to
Yeah.
hit Eminem Rock Bottom in order for me to come back and fully bring me back as a fan, which we will get to. But I think Marshall Mathers LP2 is great. And it's one of those things like Wayne's World 2. Not as good as Wayne's World, but if you're a big fan of Wayne's World and then you go watch Wayne's World 2, you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of how I look at it. It's sequels are for the most part never going to be as good, but you can at least hope that it kind of props up the first one and gives you a little more of what you love, even if it isn't better. So yeah, there you go. That's my number 5.
It's like Star Trek: The Next Generation. In many ways, it's superior, but will never be as recognized as the original.
Except for this album's not superior in any way. But you know,
Yeah,
but that was a Wayne's World quote, so I will give you that.
it was. It tied together for the most part. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I'm something. While we're on the subject of like comparing one era to another, something I want to talk about is how much his voice has changed over the years. You know,
yeah.
it's still, you can still tell it's him, but it is like it's so different at the same time. You know, you listen to him on Slim Shady LP. I mean, he's 26 on that.
Yeah.
It's not like he's, 17, 18.
Yeah.
Like, in about, God, the span of about 11 years, if you go from Slim Shady LP to Recovery, his voice undergoes this like metamorphosis towards the end where it's like it's got more,
It's a little more raspy.
it's more raspy, it's deeper,
Yeah.
and more punchy, which
Yeah.
generally speaking, you would think, it's like you say, he's never stopped
So
improving.
yeah. Well, I think I have a comparison that you'll be on board with.
Okay.
I think part of it's aging, part of it's
Yeah.
getting better at what you do. Another part of it is I think he was affecting his voice a little bit more in the early stages. So
Really?
it's like Mike Patton,
Ah.
the real thing,
Yeah.
and Angel Dust. Only the Eminem version of that plays out over several albums and years. Where you hear him talk, in interviews, and he doesn't talk like that. In the
Yeah.
what the fuck is playing on my what?
What is this?
It's for some reason my phone just started playing J. Cole. What the fuck? So I'm hearing noises from back over here, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of me talking, J. Cole just plays on my phone. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we can continue.
Wormhole just opened up behind you as well.
Oh shit. But yeah, I was saying that like I really think that he was affecting his voice a little bit, and then
Yeah.
dropped it a little bit, but also got older. I think that if I feel like it's just a natural thing of him as an artist, where the especially with the Slim Shady LP, he was essentially kind of playing a character of himself, and so
Yeah.
putting that kind of effect on his voice, making it a little bit nasalier and stuff. I feel like he forced it a little bit, but
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
You do kind of hear a very gradual change with,
Yeah.
Slim Shady through Encore. But then by the time you get to Relapse and then even further with Recovery, it's just like a completely... it's almost kind of like how I was thinking as well of Eric Cartman, like you know how in like the first few seasons of South Park, he's like, fuck
Yeah.
you, abandon, you know, and then eventually he's like in the same zone, but like you know,
Yeah.
talking like this, and probably I think a lot of that had to do with Trey Parker blowing his
Yeah.
voice out.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like Trey probably got really tired of that shit. He's like, I gotta go in the vocal booth and yell again today.
Yeah.
It's getting tiring. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny because we're gonna get to talking. Yeah. Beefcake. Am I secretly good at that?
I mean, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Beefcake.
Here, listen to this one. How good does this one sound?
Oh, that's bang on.
That's Kenny right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 I haven't seen that show in such a long time. I have to watch it again because I loved it. I fell off, and you know, life got in the way.
That's one of those where I feel like you're gonna have to pick up somewhat recently because there's so much of it now. There's so much South Park. But yeah, where were we at? We at number 4 now?
Number 4.
Number 4. Okay. This one's a massive, massive gap. My number 4 is Relapse.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You're right. Because
yeah.
I'm thinking about what's left, and I'm like, all right, yeah. And then you got Relapse.
Yep. And this is the album where personally I came online with Eminem. And when I started caring about music, really. Because up till that point, I liked the odd song here or there, but I was much more of a video game kid than I was music until this point. I was like, the new GTA game's fucking cool.
So Eminem was for me, it was Michael Jackson. That was when I was a kid, that was the first artist where I really started to become a fan of somebody's music. And then then it just led me.
I like this in particular.
Yeah.
And I think for me as well, I found this album particularly attractive because it was like, there's like, I guess you would call it horrorcore, where it's like, I'm hearing all this stuff that like I'd never heard or seen before, where it's like, oh, this is scary. This is like scary music. This is my first album where I was like, you know how every like metalhead has that story about, you know, oh yeah, we heard Master of Puppets and thought it was the scariest thing we'd ever heard. You know, ironically for me, it was 3 a.m. by Eminem in 2009.
Yeah.
You're walking down a horror corridor. It's almost 4 in the morning and you're in a nightmare. It's horrible. Right there's the coroner waiting for you to turn the. Sorry, I got that's a. I'm sailing away. And call because for the virgin. I have to like sing the entire thing when I start going. But yeah, 3 a.m. was awesome. I just liked how dark and scary it was. My mom, you know, is goofy, insane, very like eye-opening and disturbing lyrics for an 11-year-old to be hearing. It was like, oh wow, holy fuck. Like looking back, I probably didn't understand what was going on, but I knew it was rude and I knew it was dark and I found it intriguing. I think that might have been one of the lyrics I dropped that maybe got it banned from me. Bagpipes from Baghdad. Now, this was my first experience with getting goosebumps listening to a song, because I love when that beat kicks in and it does that kind of Eastern. I fucking first time I heard that, I was like, oh
yeah.
And do you want to know the funniest part? I was playing Club Penguin at the time.
Club Penguin? What the fuck is that?
Oh, have I never talked to you about Club Penguin?
I don't know. Maybe.
Club Penguin was the shit. It was like this game meets chat room owned by Disney, and it was like they'd throw a party like every month. It was like this online game where it was like this island, and it was called Club Penguin, and you had your own penguin. And I got my mum eventually to pay for a membership. All of my year had a penguin, and we all met up on this thing, and we all met up on a server called Fjord. And when I say this was a cultural phenomenon of my era, I fucking mean it.
I've
Like,
never heard of it before now.
dude, okay,
Club
hang on.
Penguin. So what would you do? You would just you would be a penguin, but then you would just chat with each other?
It not just that, it had lore. It had so many little individual games. It had like so many world building elements to it. Like it was a genius like
Was
thing that
it
they put together.
was it made to promote some movie or something?
No, no, dude. It was its own thing. It was its own thing. So it's like this online game.
Yeah.
There's an island called Club Penguin. There's little places you can go. Every month there would be this like new themed party with like fun little extra games and stuff on it. But like the big part of it was is that you'd walk around as your own little penguin. You click over there, you walk over there. You get your friend to meet up with you, and you go around as little penguins together. You earn coins from playing games, and then you can buy shit for your igloo or to wear on your person. I shit you not. I need you to see this shit. This was next to Doctor Who, the most important part of my childhood, and GTA.
Club Penguin.
Dude, type
This
it
is
in. It was an icon of 2000s childhood. This is me introducing old head to something he's
Club.
genuinely never seen.
There's something called New Club Penguin.
Yeah, ignore that for the time being. We're going for the classics. Okay,
All
Club
right.
Penguin. There's a new Club Penguin?
Here we go. Club Penguin. Was a massively multiplayer online game involving a virtual world that contained a range of online games and activities. It was created by New Horizon Interactive, now known as Disney Canada. Players used cartoon penguin avatars and played an Antarctic themed open world. After beta testing, Club Penguin was made available. Okay.
Yeah.
Revenue, paid memberships. Wow.
Yeah, like when I say this was something else, dude. This was like peak of my childhood. All of my friends had Club Penguin. We all met up on there and did fun shit.
I'm just the thing that's so interesting to me is the fact as soon as you said Disney, I was like, why haven't there been like 20 Club Penguin movies yet or a TV
Yeah.
show? That's really weird.
Well, it was acquired by Disney. It originally just started as its own thing, but yeah, it was it I the joys of whenever the next monthly party was coming and it had a completely different theme. That is a feeling I wish I could have bottled as a kid.
Wow. Yeah, this is not
Yeah. All the while, like bearing in mind, this is something that you would get banned from if you swore on it.
yeah, that's what I'm reading right now.
Yeah, yeah, like you couldn't say swears or anything sexual, obviously because it's made for kids, but anything else
Yeah.
you were allowed to talk about. I just remember meeting up with friends and doing like the two-player games and stuff and be like, "Hey, have you got enough to buy this for your igloo yet?" Hell yeah, I've managed to get the double level igloo. Cool.
That
Yeah, I
is
remember
that
that
is
being
crazy. That I don't that yeah. I mean, obviously, I wasn't the target age at that point. I was already in my 20s when that started, hurtling towards my 30s or whatever. But but yeah, I never heard of that, and that's so interesting. Just like a little world for kids to go and hang out online, I guess,
Well, I just want
or
to
adults
highlight.
adults pretending to be kids.
Well, I just want it noted that while I was playing this really innocent game about just, kids having a safe online community, I was listening to lyrics such as Nothing will stop me molesting you, titty fucking you till your breast nipple flesh tickles my testicles.
All right.
And I just thought I'd mention.
You've just been banned for 24 hours.
Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing as well. Like, I remember playing it, listening to the music, shitting myself the whole time, thinking, what if Club Penguin can hear what I'm listening to? I don't think they'd like it very much. And I've saved up a lot of coins to buy the Christmas stuff for my igloo. I don't want to get banned. One time, I found out about this glitch that you could do with the coffee bean game, and I tried it, and I almost got banned. And it was one of the scariest moments of being 10 years old. Anyway, back to Relapse. That's one of the most hardcore tangents we've ever done.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so Hello, same song and dance. A lot of these songs have like dark horrorcore lyrics. Obviously, it's not real because otherwise Eminem would be on death row for a lot of the stuff that happens on this album. Medicine Ball is cool. We Made You is the song that got me into Eminem. Stay Wide Awake, Old Time's Sake, Must Be the Ganja. I love all of these songs. Crack a Bottle, Beautiful. I remember listening to Beautiful a lot because like I wasn't like the most popular kid, so like that song kind of reached out to me and pulled me out of some like tough shit. But yeah, this is a great album for me personally. I can see and hear all of the critiques being valid, but it came to me at the right time. It came to me at the right time, and it got me into music full stop. Like, and if that's what it came to me to do, I'll love it forever for that.
Nice.
So yeah,
I like that. So what for my number 4, we're going to move to his most recent album, Music to Be Murdered By, from 2020. This is actually a very important album because this album once again was not announced when it came out. I woke up one day and came in here to my office to work, and all of a sudden, you know, Eminem had an album out, and I listened to it all the way through and thought it was fucking killer. And at that point, I was like, all right, it's solidified me as an Eminem fan now, because Kamikaze could have just been a one-off where I happened to like it because of the timing or whatever. But this one, I truly just enjoyed the fuck out of it the first time I heard it. Obviously it's not as good as Kamikaze for me because Kamikaze is higher than this album, but it still has so many killer songs on it. And I love the Alfred Hitchcock tie-in with an actual Alfred Hitchcock album called Music to Be Murdered By, and he took samples from that, and then the cover, which you can see the original cover back here, which he has a gun to his head. But if you look at it online, he's holding a pitchfork or something like that. But that's the original image also from the Alfred Hitchcock album, where he has the gun and the axe to his head. But I just love that theme. Like nobody anywhere was talking about Alfred Hitchcock, and Eminem's just like, boom, here's my album, Alfred Hitchcock. I will say it is a bit too long. It's not as long as some of his earlier albums, but Kamikaze is a perfect length, and Music to Be Murdered By overstays its welcome just a little bit. I will say the one thing about this one that makes me a little bit weary is that it does carry over some of what he was doing with Kamikaze, but also incorporates a little bit of what he was doing before, where he has the features on there. But that, to me, it wasn't bloated by the features, and some of them are very cool. I will say, though, that I still can't get over, it's the first legit song on the album. So there's like an intro song that Eminem raps over, and it's a cool song. But then the first legit song starts, and there's a young rapper called Young M.A., I think is her name. And the first time I heard it, I didn't know who Young M.A. was. I don't even know what she's done since then. But I know, she was like up and coming. And all I know is that like I kept thinking, I was like, girl, you get to be the first person that raps on this Eminem track. And your first line is wobble wobble, shake it, we made it, they hate it. And I was just like, what? And then I immediately think to myself, well, I guess that's why I didn't hear anything from her after that. because the rest of her verse is not bad, but like, just like, are you literally trying to be generic? Like, let's take these lyrics that literally millions of other rappers had already ran into the ground, and that's how I'm starting my verse on an Eminem album. Anyway, that's pretty lame, but it gets better. There's so many fucking songs on here that, like, Godzilla is one of them that I think is great. There's another one called You Gonna Learn, and I'm just like, I love that song. And there's so many highlights on this album, but I come at it from an angle like you are, because you have these albums that were important to you because of how you felt about them at the time and your relationship with Eminem. And Music to Be Murdered By may not be everybody's cup of tea, or maybe some people think it's not, there's nothing to write home about or no reason for it to be number 4. But for me, it's like, it fully solidified that now if somebody says, hey, do you like Eminem? I'd be like, fuck yeah, I like Eminem. And it's because of this album. So it's I think it's fucking great. So there you go. Hopefully he surprises us. That was 2020. Come on, Eminem.
Yeah.
Surprise us with another album, and let's see if you can continue to be in old heads' good graces. So, all right, on to top 3.
We need a blog or something called Old Heads Good Graces. It's like who's doing it right, who's doing it wrong, and we'll just wait until everyone's perfect.
It should be like a what do you call those diagrams where it's like a circle and then there's the middle?
It's a Venn diagram.
A Venn diagram, and it depends on what side of my if you're like in the top and the middle, then you're fucking nailing it. But you might be over to the side here where it's like, it's fun, but it's not great. Or over here, it's like, I appreciate technically what you're doing, but it's not very enjoyable. It's like, it should just be bands are constantly moving around this circle, like depending on how I feel. And then at the bottom is like, Michael Graves era Misfits or some shit. It's just like, boom, they never recovered from that. They're still flat at the bottom. Anyway,
I'm not gonna lie. I was listening to Famous Monsters the other day. Don't tell Old Head that. Whoops.
Was it that song where they go whoa? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. They do that in every song.
That's American Psycho. Right. Where am I at? It's
3.
top 3 time, isn't it? Top 3. Bronze medal goes to Slim Shady LP.
All right. Wow. Okay.
Yep. This is really the first of a trilogy of albums for me where I'm like, yeah, this is all top tier to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, he literally did do it's 3. It's Father, Son, Holy Ghost. it's Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, Eminem. Like he did.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's cool that there's that like you say, Father, Son, Holy Ghost trilogy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Slim Shady LP. I mean, where do I begin? I mean, this is the breakthrough album, considered by many to be the true debut, which is, it's no. He had Infinite. Like, if you're not counting Infinite, you're being lazy.
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of like Pantera's first 4 albums. Like most people, the first Pantera album for them was Cowboys from Hell, but they had done 4 before that.
Yeah, but that's always bothered me, because it's like, I remember someone was like, "Oh, we Care a Lot" by Faith No More is basically just a demo. It's like, no, it's 10 songs that never appeared again. It's a fucking album.
Yeah, and a great one at that.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. I'm just gonna have a sparkling black cherry water right here.
Oh, very, very nice. Unsweetened. Oh, yeah. It's an ASMR channel now.
These are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like some sparkling water, but I like it because the flavor is real minimal.
Yeah.
But black cherry, this version of HEB is a grocery store from this region of the United States, and they make their own stuff. And this is really good. They have a couple different ones that I really like. The grapefruit one's pretty good too, but black cherry is probably my favorite.
Is this a paid sponsorship by any chance?
They would never go for it because they're like well, what, the other guy lives in England. There's no HEBs in England. I don't know what the equivalent of HEB, like a local grocery store that actually kind of branched out. Is there one of those over in England?
Maybe Spar. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe
Maybe we'll get a joint sponsorship, HEB and Spar.
Cool. But yeah, we have Slim Shady LP.
Yep.
My Name Is a classic, quite literally the world's introduction to one of the most controversial figures in modern music. You know, there's hip hop before Slim Shady and there's hip hop after. You know, it is one of those things where it's like, oh shit, this guy's on the scene now. Guilty Conscience, great song, plays out like a rap battle between, you know, the angel and the devil.
Yeah.
Played out by Eminem, in this case, Slim Shady, and Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre portraying the more moral character, although, you know, still caves to gunning someone down if they deserve it. Brain Damage, cool song. If I Had, it's another cool song. 97 Bonnie and Clyde, one of many Kim-centric murder ballads that show up in this discography.
Those are the Eminem songs that to me, it's hard to make it through them because once you've heard them, they're a really great first listen, and then after that, I'm just like, oh, okay, let's just skip to the next one.
Role Model, I fucking love Role Model. Great song. My Fault. I never meant to give you mushrooms, girl. I never meant to bring you to my world. But now you're sitting there in the corner crying, and now it's my fault, my fault. It's a funny but dark song.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody. That's
still such a fucking. Why does that title make me laugh every time?
I mean,
because it is. If you don't know it, it's spelled CUM, but it's come on, everybody, and it's
get down tonight. Yeah,
it's so funny.
Yeah, that's toilet humor genius right there.
It's pretty good.
Classic. Rock Bottom, great. Just Don't Give a Fuck is a banger. As the World Turns, Me Likey. I'm Shady, Bad Meets Evil, and Still Don't Give a Fuck. Excellent closer. I mean, this album is great. It's great, but it was done better on the follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
It's each of those three albums have their own distinct vibe, but they all feel cohesive, like they're part of this just run. Yeah. That being said, that is my number 3, Slim Shady LP. Over to you.
Now, my number 3 and number 2, I keep wrestling with the order.
Okay.
And even right now, I'm like, do I just want to call an audible and flip these? No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show respect to the one that's at number 2. My number 3 is Kamikaze from 2018.
Okay.
So right now we have the ability of syncing up on one album only. There's only one that we could sync up on. We'll see if that happens. But my number 3 is Kamikaze. I talked about it before. Big album for me. It was a total surprise, not only that it came out, but that I loved it so much. And it was kind of like a rediscovery of Eminem because, like, prior to that, Revival came out. I listened to a couple songs and I went, "This isn't for me." And then so I was so surprised at how great this was. I feel like it's his most honest, bare, and engaging album that he's done in years. Like, it almost makes me feel like the albums that feel like they're supposed to be more honest, they're not quite as honest as this because it's kind of letting yourself be a little bit more vulnerable in a way that isn't looked upon as brave. Like, because there's some things that you put your heart out there and that people are going to go, "You're so brave for saying these things." But this is literally just like, "You motherfuckers are talking shit about my album and about me. Fuck you. Who are you?" And it's a whole album of that.
Yeah.
So, and I love that because it just feels so real. And I'm just like, yeah, because like you could take a step back and go, "Who the fuck cares? Did I make the album I wanted to make? People didn't like it. Who the fuck cares? I don't need to go out and nitpick at people and fight back." But at the same time, why not? Like, we should all be so lucky that when we have that kind of emotional outburst, that we put out a fucking fantastic album. It's like,
Yeah.
so I really think that yeah, it's a really great album. I honestly, the only track on it that I sometimes go, it's not as good is the last one, which is Venom. But I think that was that was in the movie Venom.
Yeah.
And so I almost feel like I was kind of just put on the end because it was a single that was out or whatever. But I do like that one too. But that to me, that's the weakest one on the album. And I like all the features on it. I think everything on this one and I think I really enjoyed, and that's probably another thing I enjoy about Music to Be Murdered By, is I like the idea of Eminem putting things out as there's no promotion where we are going to see a music video or an ad or an interview or something that's going to color our opinion of the album. It's literally like, bam, here's the album. The opinion is of the album, not what you thought when you were reading the track listing and it was a build up to the album actually coming out. None of that shit. And I honestly, like, that's, in this day and age, that's the way albums should be done. Because a good example is Judas Priest. Judas Priest just put out a new song. I really like it. Have you heard it yet?
I haven't, but what's it called? Panic Attack?
Panic Attack.
I haven't got around to listening to it yet, but
I really like it. Really fun, energetic metal track. But I go, I'm not going to pre-order the fucking vinyl right now because I've heard one track. What if the rest of it isn't going to be as good for me? So I'm just like, hey, drop the album online, and then we all make our decision right there. Is this good? Cool. Ordering the vinyl. It's like I realize that in certain ways, some artists may lose money that way because, maybe the Judas Priest album is actually going to be a stinker and Panic Attack is just a killer song, but they've already made all this money from pre-orders. So I don't know. All I know is that I like this. And I think when you're somebody like Eminem, you can afford to do that because he did that. And both of these last two albums were fucking #1 albums for him. So
yeah.
even after the fact, huge sellers. So anyway, I like that about it, and I hope he continues to do that because I'm just like, yeah, just hit us with the shit that you have and cut out all the bullshit. Because I think that's what turned me off to Eminem back in the day, was there was a whole lot of bullshit surrounding Eminem's music. And it colored it sometimes in an annoying way. But I love Kamikaze. It's my number 3. So let's move on to the top 2. This is going to, your number 2 is going to determine what happens if we're going to have any kind of matchup. So let's see.
Okay. Well, I can tell you now, it's an album you've already mentioned. So my number 2 is Eminem Show.
All right.
And
I'll go ahead and say it. We have the same number one. So
Hey, so it must be true.
yeah, duh. Yeah, our number one is the same as everybody else's number one on the internet. Anyway, go ahead with your number two.
Okay, so like we say, this is kind of part three of that trilogy of albums that bear his three different names.
Yep.
um, so White America, right out of the gate, this song kicks ass. Love it. Great
Yeah.
opener. Really kick the door down. Then you get Business. Just what a 1-2 punch. I love that song. Just got a real bouncy ass kicking feel to it.
Hmm.
Cleaning Out My Closet. It's a brutal diss track directed at his mother.
Yeah, that's another one. It's rough getting through it because I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay,
Well,
come on.
yeah, because on the one hand, I'm like, it is a good song and I love it, but it's like, damn, imagine being in that position, you know? Yeah, hating the
Yeah, I
parents.
mean, yeah, I'm not discounting his experience at all, but songs like that are not good enough for repeat listens for me. Even back in the day when I kept seeing the video, I'd be like, I'm gonna go do something else.
Fair. But yeah, Square Dance. Square Dance is one of those like early examples of him using an accent, like "Let your hair down." Like
Yeah,
that's a bit of fun. Soldier, it's cool. Drips. Now I remember this was like the one main song I wasn't allowed to listen to in the car. For obvious reasons, it's extremely vulgar in a sexual way. Um,
you know what?
but
This might be a good time to bring that up. Do you? How do you feel? Because there's a lot of Eminem lyrics that, in today's climate, have not aged very well at all.
I think
Um,
I think the late 90s and early 2000s were kind of a peak of that kind of shock humor, like South Park coming out in 97.
yeah,
That was kind of the last era where, I mean, I don't know. That was kind of the last era where something could be so successful by being so vulgar, you know? That
yeah.
late 90s, early 2000s, it was like, if I'm as offensive as possible, like regardless of political leaning, I will be huge, you
Yeah.
know? Whereas over the last 20 years, we've seen that really go out of style.
But
Uh,
you know what I think is really interesting though, comparing the two eras, is now there's a weird push and pull with me because there's half of me that goes, there's a whole lot of things that are now being directly addressed as this is wrong, and I'm like, absolutely, I'm glad we're fucking doing this. And then on the other side of things, there are certain things where I go, we're going too far, and you're not
hurting the
understand
progress.
you're not understanding context and
Yeah,
or intent, or using something in a particular way that is offensive, but you're using it in the opposite direction or whatever it is. But then if you go back to 98, 99, 2000, 2001, or on that time, there was stuff, and I'm glad that you said South Park because I think that it works the same way. South Park and Eminem, they the problem that happened out of that was that a large majority of people who latched on to the vulgarity were not smart enough to understand all the other parts.
yeah.
So there was so much about South Park and Eminem in general that if you just glom on to one word or phrase or section of a lyric, you're completely missing the point
Yeah.
of a lot of the shit that was being said. Mind you, Eminem could have found better ways to say certain things, but he never came across to me as anybody that was being malicious. It,
No, not at all.
it, even though some people would point that out because of this of words that he used, and a lot of them were words that I would never use.
Well,
But
even as late as some of his 2010s output, there's certain words. I mean, as far as I can tell, he never ever dropped the N bomb. He was in too close proximity to all, you know, African American people to.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you may have one say, he's got the pass or something like that, but he never did. Whereas, as far as I can tell, but the homosexual F slur has appeared many times, and that is nowadays considered, as far as I can tell, just as big a social no-no as
Yeah. But sometimes, like, if in some of his songs, I feel like he knows, like it's almost like it's presented.
What's going on today, man?
What am I hearing? Do you hear that?
Yeah.
I think there's some kind of animal fight happening under my house, because my house is raised,
Yeah.
and so you could get under it if you, and we have cats and stuff.
Yeah. You want to maybe go check that out?
Hold on 1 second. I have no idea. That's okay. Could you hear that?
Yeah. Yeah. I can hear thumping and scratching and everything. Dude, maybe you want to go check that out?
It's happening below my house. I can't go do anything about it. I'm not gonna. We're good.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Because we do have we are an animal friendly house.
Right. Yeah.
So we have outside living, and that we occasionally feed a couple cats, which also means we feed a couple raccoons and we feed a couple possums. And so it could be any number of that going on under there.
So there's a whole ass gang war happening under your house.
Could
right
be. It could be. It could be like, I don't know. Whatever you call, what's that movie with where the Zootopia, but only modern warfare Zootopia.
It's just the Warriors, but it's the cast of Zootopia.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. Where were we now? Oh yeah. I was talking about Eminem. I don't think it's so weird. This is being interrupted by weird things happening under your feet. Yeah, I feel like he knew sometimes he was using terminology that was wrong or mean. Yeah. And I think he was, it's almost like working out your own demons in your head in front of everybody else. Because I feel like he grew out of that.
Yeah.
And or maybe he didn't. Maybe he just got smarter about it. Either way, coming from somebody that, I am not a separate the art from the artist kind of person. And honestly, with someone like Eminem, how do you do that? You don't. It's the same thing. But I am one of the weirdos that I fall somewhere in the middle, and I have to take in context and intent and all these other things.
Yeah.
Excuse me, before I decide, does this person suck? And with Eminem, it's never really gotten to that point.
I've never got that. I've never got that from him either. Yeah. I think whenever he does say something offensive, it's look, I can say it. You know?
Yeah.
And that really pisses you off, doesn't it?
Yeah, I do.
It's me, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's that comedian. Like, what's that guy you see online? The clip you see all the time of like, are you offended? I'm a comedian. It's my job. Are you easily offended? Too bad. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
He's a British comedian. That's his. You see that clip of him all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know what his name is.
I'll remember at some point. I'm betraying my country folk right now, but yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I figured we eventually would have to say something about it.
Well, here's an iconic track to talk about. We got "Without Me."
Yep.
Yeah, absolute banger. There was a time I knew every syllable to this off by heart. I still know most of it.
My favorite thing. I'm not a huge fan of that song, but he does. He makes a Tom Green reference in that song,
Yeah.
and that reference is fine. But the actual Tom Green song he's referencing, I fucking love, which is the which my bum is on. He basically just goes around and does a
Yeah.
music video where he's putting his butt on stuff. But
Yeah,
my
yeah.
but my favorite one is where it's a sign and the sign just says the word Swedish in really big letters, and he keeps going, "My bum is on the Swedish, Swedish," and I always love that part. Anyway,
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Here we go. Here we have your favorite sing for the moment.
woo.
No, it ain't. Superman, big old sexy song. It goes on a bit long though. Haley's song. It's a nice track that shows the softer side to Eminem regarding his daughter. You know, he's human too. When the music stops, awesome. Say what you say, cool. Till I collapse. Whenever I find myself in a rut or a tough spot, till I collapse and lose yourself, just fucking pull me right back out of that shit. That is some pull yourself together and fucking win music. And finally we close out with My Dad's Gone Crazy, which is, fun, cute, brings his daughter onto the mic. Yeah. Honestly, I love the Eminem show. And it came into my life at a point where I didn't really know about like brick wall production and all that sort of things yet. I just heard
Yeah.
a bunch of songs that I really liked. And yeah. So that is my number 2. This is a big episode we're doing right
It
now.
is.
Man.
All right.
Yeah.
My number. We'll be quick here because you talked about this album. My number 2 is the Slim Shady LP from 1999.
Cool.
Most people's intros to Eminem, mine included. I really think that I have gripes about this album because I feel like in certain ways it's kind of one note Eminem. He's like kind of doing the same sort of things
Yeah.
repeatedly, and he would get way more varied with what he's doing. And it's long, too many skits, in my opinion. But I had to put it at number 2, and I was wrestling with this in Kamikaze because I love Kamikaze so much. But this one, like, it's almost like it's such an entity in itself, like a classic, piece of late '90s, like a snapshot of late '90s shit. And so, whatever I don't like about it, it's completely overshadowed by how much I just enjoy the vibe of the whole album and obviously Dr. Dre's production. I just think it sounds great. And yeah, it really does like bring me into like, Eminem, Limp Bizkit, all of these things. They hadn't yet gotten annoying yet. At this point, it was like for me, a person that was, in 1999, I was 21. I turned 21. For a dude who was just starting to drink, this shit was all fun. It was like really fun party music, and Eminem clearly was a great rapper. So it really always has that kind of weird nostalgic quality on top of it just being pretty enjoyable overall. So I had to put it at number 2, which leaves us with the only matchup we've had. But really, I feel like this is, pretty basic bitch of us putting this album number 1 because it's like, duh. But I mean, to be fair, I think I don't think there's a lot of arguments. It's considered his best album, the Marshall Mathers LP from 2000. It was the only of his albums that I bought back in the day, until Kamikaze. So yeah, let's get into it. Talk a little bit about Marshall Mathers LP.
Well, right out of the gate, this one leans into the darker stuff. I mean, Slim Shady was Slim Shady had its dark moments and a lot of like dark subject matter, but it was done through the lens of look at me, I'm a goofy, I'm the Bugs Bunny of murderers,
Yeah, that's
uh,
good.
yeah, whereas this one is no, I am actually going to fucking kill you,
Yeah.
and it's like even the difference in like there's a public service announcement of both of these at the start
Yeah.
of both of these, and the first
Yeah.
one is the views represented here are totally fucked and are not necessarily the views of anyone. Whereas this one, you get Slim Shady does not give a fuck what you think. If you
Yeah.
don't like it, you can suck his fucking cock, and it just doesn't waste any time.
Nope.
Um, I mean, it opens right up with "Kill You." I love this opener, and I even like to sing in place of Shady. I like to, on my way over here, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, "You don't want to fuck with Eddie,
Oh,
cause
because
Eddie
Eddie will
will
fucking
fucking
kill you.
kill you."
Yeah.
Yeah, that song makes me feel
That's how I'm going to sing that
pretty
song
hyped
from
up.
now on.
Yeah. You could put old head. You don't want to fuck with old head.
That doesn't sound as good.
Old head will fucking review you. uh, but yeah, it's a great song. Stan, so iconic that it's become a slang phrase. I mean, how many people can say that? How many people can say that they have affected language with a
Yep.
song? You know?
That's good because I don't really like listening to the song because it's another one of those that
It's
doesn't
good,
doesn't
but it's
it's
sad.
good. It's good. Well, there's no positive quality to me enjoyment wise for that song because I've heard it enough times now that I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, it is what it is.
Well,
It's good though.
there's another song on this album, and we'll get to it. That's like once you've listened to it, you're like, wow, okay, holy shit. uh, who knew? Cool. The Way I Am, one of my favorites. The Way I Am, I
Yeah,
love that
yeah,
song so much. The Real Slim Shady, what a banger.
yep.
Uh, Remember Me. Some hard vocals on here. Like
Hmm.
honestly, I think if he wanted to do a new metal thing at the time, he could have. Is he on any like
Isn't
new
he on?
metal
Isn't
songs?
isn't he on a Corn? No, he's not on
He's in a
Corn, is he?
he's in a Korn music video.
Okay. He's
And
also in a Limp Bizkit music video.
yeah, so he was like adjacent to that, but like I don't know if he ever showed up because I feel like he could have done a pretty fucking cool like new metal
He
side project. He
he could.
definitely had that vibe to him.
Yeah, he really could have, but that there are plenty of other dudes that look just like him that were also fronting new metal bands. So
Yeah, true. I suppose at
because he's got
that time,
he had
yeah,
he had a good point. I mean, because that was it was really it was an absolute thing where you started to see white dudes everywhere that looked like Eminem.
yeah,
Like that song was not just. I mean, it was funny, but at the same time, it was like, yeah, there's a whole lot of fucking dudes
yeah,
now that are sporting his look, and some of them still do. So
yeah. It's that bleached blonde, peroxide, white wife beater. I love that fucking song so much, dude. Um, Remember Me, some hard vocals, love it. I'm Back, Marshall Mathers, Drug Ballad, Amityville, Bitch Please 2, Kim. Now, this song is crazy dark, and
yeah,
it's hands down the darkest Eminem song,
yeah,
easily. Like it is literally just him murdering Kim.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and the back and forth between a dude murdering his spouse. And like after I picked the perfect but also the worst time to listen to this song, and I was like driving back from rehearsal really late at night down dark country roads, and I thought this is the closest I'll feel to being in this situation right now, and it's terrifying.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I feel an unease from that song that few songs are able to elicit from me. Unless I specifically go out into the forest at night and listen to the Exorcist soundtrack. Um, Under the Influence has an appearance from D12, which is Eminem's group.
Yep. Yep.
Adjacent to this. And while it's on my mind, my salsa makes all the pretty girls want to dance and take off their underpants. My salsa, 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 my salsa. I just thought I'd drop that little one there.
I'm glad you did.
Purple pills, purple hills, like that one as well.
Yeah, purple. Yeah, I guess Purple Pills is the real song, but I always knew it as Purple Hills because that was the music video.
Yeah. And Criminal is a great closer. Love it. Yeah. It's a Marshall Mathers, more like Marshall Mathers to Peace.
Oh.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. It was a little rough on the landing, but overall the execution was pretty good.
Hey, look, all the passengers were saved. Only one engine burst into flames. The lawsuit was relatively minimal.
So we match up. My number one is also Marshall Mathers LP. I don't have a lot to add. To me, it's a step up in every way possible from his first album, for his second album, whatever, his previous album. And I think I've always really enjoyed the fact that he really is almost like antagonistic in this album, where there's still a little bit of like the bratty, arrogant aggression from the last album. But you're right, he does. It's almost like he's trying to one up himself and double down on, if everybody was just like, oh, this is very shocking what he does. He's like, oh, was it?
Yeah.
And so
you like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, we get little glimpses into where he came from and who he is, and I always really enjoyed that the combination of the humor, but also the sort of shock value kind of stuff, but at the same time the real sort of introspective, I guess, maybe in certain ways, for as much as Eminem is introspective. But it's really like I really do think that Eminem's work is more complicated than people give it credit for. Because of all the different aspects that he is working with at the same time, because he does put himself into completely fake situations, and he uses an alter ego or whatever in this particular situation. But at the next turn, he's putting in something really personal about himself.
Yeah.
And sometimes he will be using things that are shocking in order to get a reaction. What is that? There's a term for that. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up right now. But there's a term for art that uses things that you're going to react to negatively in order to get that reaction, tap into that emotion or whatever it is. And the fact that I think more people appreciate that now, but for a long time, like that's why I said I think people were focusing way too much on the character and his hijinks and whatever. And I'm like, well, you're kind of taking away from what he does, because the fact that he does really seem to like almost be doing like a juggling act the whole fucking time with all the different sort of things. Some things are so pointed and in your face. Other things, there's layers of metaphor and simile or whatever the fuck. And so I just love the fact that he's able to do all of these things. And I think that's probably a big reason why a lot of people think he's one of the greatest rappers ever, which I wouldn't disagree. But I've always really, I think that's why I've been more critical of him, because I would hear things and go, man, he has the ability to do some amazing shit.
Yeah.
And the fact that later in the 2000s, he settled a little bit too much into enjoying a crossover success. But to be fair, he was successful and he has a comfortable living. He's able to take care of himself and his family, and his legacy will live on forever and ever. And so, who the fuck am I, really? But I think that's probably why I enjoy where he is now. The bearded era of Eminem, I will call it, because I don't remember him ever having a beard, and then all of a sudden he pops up with a beard, and I'm just like, oh. And things started to feel different all of a sudden. It's like he grew a beard, and then his music also grew a beard. I don't know. Anyway,
his music grew a beard.
Yeah.
23.
Anyway, yeah. So, but Marshall Mathers LP is a fucking classic. It's too long. But I'll say that about anything made from the late 90s all the way until now. There's so many albums that are just bloated with too much. But to be fair, there's not anything on Marshall Mathers LP that I would be like, well, that's the bad song. I'd be like, everything's got something about it that I think is pretty fucking cool. So it's a classic for a reason. And that's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, all right, so that was it. Our joint number one, the Marshall Mathers LP, as zero surprise to anybody out there. But I guess the rest of this has been an interesting conversation because we really have approached things from different angles, and I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now as we normally do, whenever we wrap up an artist's discography, we celebrate it like this. 3, 2, 1, yeah! We did it! All right.
Nice. Yeah.
Eminem style. I couldn't think of an Eminem way to do that. Anyway.
Will Smith don't got a cuss in his podcast to sell records. Well, we do. So fuck him and fuck you too.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, we've covered Fresh Prince as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I enjoy both. But he does have a point. There's Will Smith was and Fresh Prince in general was such a clean rapper that the one song where he says the word bitch in it, we were all like,
yeah, you saw my blinker, bitch.
He said, I said, bitch. Have you seen that Key and Peele sketch? Where they're trying to talk about them talking back to their wives, but as long as their wives aren't in the room, and then they have to continue the story later. And I looked at her and I said, bitch. Anyway, sorry. And I just love they keep having to move further and further away so the wives don't hear him, and then finally they're in fucking outer space. Yeah. But even then, he still leaves the ship, and he's in a fucking spacesuit. He's like, I said, bitch. Anyway, on that note, that's a good note. Any Key and Peele talk for me is a good thing. All right, that's the end of our Eminem ranking. Thank you, Peanut Butter Platypuses, for being here. These episodes are like the full on, the most Peanut Butter Platypuserious of them all, because like this isn't what we normally talk about. We don't normally talk about hip hop at all. It's random episodes here and there. So if you're still here, you're one of the ultimates. If you're new and you've made it here the whole time, welcome to Peanut Butter Platypus Land.
That puss is plastered in the butter of the nut.
Ooh, I like that actually. And thank you for being here to let us plaster you in the butter of our nuts. And we'll be back next week with another. I don't remember. If you want to
see my nut, just ask her.
I mean, really, that whole song is about dicks, and so it's like. Anyway, that was last week. We talked about Kiss. That was it was a full circle thing. I don't remember what we're doing next weekend. We'll talk about it after we get off of this episode. But we will be back with something. I just don't remember what it is right offhand. But it's going to be fun because we're involved. We're involved. The two old head and old Ed, or young Ed and old head.
Young Ed, old head.
Anyway, all right.
That's my alter ego.
Is what?
Is young balls. You remember
Young
that?
Balls. Yeah.
Old head, young
Young
balls.
Balls. I like that. Yeah. That's a good hip hop name too. YUNG Balls with a Z.
Yeah.
Young
And then I
Balls.
have then I have the other. Then I've got my other alter ego. He's my evil twin. He's called Lil Bitch. EP. Drop in whenever.
All right. Well, from old head and little bitch, we're signing
young
off.
balls.
And young
Yeah.
ball. You're gonna have to make 5 albums for all of your alter egos.
I'm just gonna keep like writing diss tracks about myself. That'll be funny.
Oh, that's good. That's like future thinking right there. That's like
Yeah.
that's way ahead of your time. So I'm gonna fucking do an album where I diss myself on another album. Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good. Who's somebody do that? Anyway, it's gonna be a little bitch that does it to Young Balls. Anyway, all right, that's it. This is the longest outro ever, right?
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you all for being here. And as usual, I'm gonna throw it over to Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Trying to think of an Eminem way to deliver later, dude. Play me off, Johnny. Bang, bling, bling. Later, dude. It's like,
Mom spaghetti. I don't know. Something about mom.
okay, he's later, dude. Palms wet, later, dude. He's later, dude, and on his sweater already. Later, dude, spaghetti. He's nervous, but on the surface, he looks later, dude. You know what? His mom's spaghetti, knees weak. Mom's spaghetti, there's spaghetti on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but the whole crowd goes spaghetti. He opens his mouth, but spaghetti won't come out. He's choking on spaghetti.
That's a good place to stop. If anybody's still here. All right, if you're still here, Mom spaghetti, everybody.
Later, dude.